Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on the news this morning. We begin from the national scene, where President Tinubu yesterday held a closed-door meeting with service chiefs at the presidential villa in Abuja. The presidency said the pre-discussions focused on national security priorities and strategic defense coordination. Some of those in attendance were the Chief of Defense Staff, CDS, General Olufemi Oluyede, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Vice Marshal Kelvin Aneke, the Chief of Naval Staff, Rear Admiral Idi Abbas, the Chief of Defense Intelligence, Major General EAP Odiendeye, and the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Waidi Shuaibu. Meanwhile, dignitaries yesterday paid glowing tributes to the late veteran broadcaster and former Nigerian High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, Dr. Christopher Kolade, during a service of songs held in his honor. Recall that the elder statesman, aged 92, passed away on Wednesday, October 8, 2025. His family announced his death in a statement on Thursday, noting that he died peacefully. The service of songs, which formed part of the rites of passage for the late diplomat, was held at the Wole Soyinka Center, formerly the National Arts Theatre, and attracted a cross-section of family members, friends, associates, and serving and former public officials. Among those present were President Bola Tinubu, represented by his Chief of Staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekerekun, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, former Minister of Science and Technology Orunibe Mamora, former Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Oyema, and former presidential candidate Peter Obi, among others. In another development, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Joash Ojo Amopiton, has pledged to work closely with the National Assembly to deliver a credible, fair, and transparent electoral process for Nigeria. According to a statement by INEC on Monday, Professor Amopiton met the commitment while addressing participants at the 56th Annual National Conference of the Nigerian Association of Law Teachers, NALT, held at the Federal University of Lokoja, where he was also honored for his dedication and service. Speaking on ongoing efforts to amend the Electoral Act, the INEC chairman said the commission would actively engage with lawmakers to ensure that reforms reflect lessons learned from past elections and strengthen public confidence in the process. He emphasized that a well-structured legal framework is the foundation of a credible electoral system. Talking politics, barely weeks to its national convention, fresh cracks have emerged in the People's Democratic Party as former Jigawa State Governor Sule Lamido rejected the endorsement of Tanimu Turaki-san as the party's consensus candidate for national chairman. The disagreement has again thrown the opposition party into fresh tension and sets the stage for a courtroom battle, even as Turaki's camp pushed ahead with its campaign. This comes as the party suspended the screening of aspirants for its 2025 elective national convention earlier scheduled today, citing unforeseen circumstances. The decision coming less than a month before the much-anticipated convention has raised concerns within the party and among political observers about possible internal challenges and the implication for the opposition's preparations. Moving away from that, human rights activist Omoyele Sowore and Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer Aloy Ejimako have been released from Kuje prison after 4 days in detention. Sowore announced his release on Monday via X. Recall that he was detained last week following his alongside Ejimako, Prince Emmanuel Kanu, Nnamdi Kanu's brother, and 10 others arrested during the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest in the Federal Capital Territory. Moving now to Africa, where Cameroon's President Paul Biya, 92, have been re-elected for an eighth term with 53.7% of the votes. This is according to official results announced by the Constitutional Council on Monday. Rival candidate and former government minister Issa Chiroma Bakare came second with 35.2%. Chiroma had claimed victory against the incumbent 2 days after the October 12 election. Earlier, 4 people were killed in clashes between security forces and supporters of a Cameroon opposition leader who claims to have won the recent presidential elections, authorities said ahead of the announcement of official results on Monday. Chiroma, who challenged President Paul Biya's 43-year grip on power in the October 12 ballot, had called on supporters to march peacefully on the eve of the announcement, despite a ban on public gathering. Still in Africa, Ivory Coast President Alassane Ouattara has won a 4th term, securing a crushing 87.77% in a vote which his 2 greatest rivals were barred from. Reports say nearly 9 million voters were eligible to cast their ballot Saturday in the world's top cocoa producer, which has resisted coups and jihadist attacks plaguing much of West Africa, but which saw tensions soar and deadly violence in the run-up to the election. Even before the provisional results announcement, Ouattara was already anticipated to have swept the polls after early tallies on Sunday showed him winning upwards of 90% of the vote. Turnout was close to 100% in his northern strongholds. On the foreign scene, a Japanese governor today called for help from the military to deal with a spate of truly dire, deadly bear attacks, which have risen to record levels this year in Japan. Bears have killed 10 people this year, a government official confirmed to reporters, surpassing the previous high of 6 in the fiscal year that ended in March 2024. The animals have been increasingly encroaching on towns due to factors including a declining human population and climate change. Kenta Suzuki, the governor of northern Akita Prefecture, told Japan's defense minister that the lives of their citizens cannot be protected without the help of the self-defense forces. Suzuki said bears now appear not only in mountains but also in urban areas. Still on the foreign scene, Pope Leo will pray at the site of the devastating 2020 Beirut port explosion during an upcoming trip to Lebanon and Turkey. The US-born Pope is making his first overseas visit since becoming head of the world's 1.4 billion Catholics in May, following the death of Argentina's Pope Francis. The trip begins on November 27 in Turkey, focused around events marking the 1700th anniversary of the Council of Nicaea, a milestone in church history. Leo will also visit Istanbul's Blue Mosque and meet Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and religious leaders, including the Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew, leader of the world's Orthodox Christians. Still to come in the news. Juventus sacked coach Igor Tudor after 7 months. Stay tuned for details of the stories after this time out. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now we conclude the rest of our news stories this morning. On our business news, power generation companies yesterday intensified pressure on the federal government to urgently address the worsening liquidity crisis in the Nigerian electricity supply industry, NESI, as debts owed to them have risen to 6 trillion naira. The chairman of the Association of Power Generation Companies APGC board, Colonel Sani Bello, retired, expressed concern that the mounting debt burden was severely constraining GENCO's operations. Speaking at the 10th anniversary of APGC in Abuja yesterday, the operators warned that the debt level had become unsustainable. Bello stated that despite these constraints, power generation companies have continued to make the necessary sacrifice and have kept the national grid running. Still talking business, the Port and Terminal Multi-Services Limited (PTML) command of the Nigeria Customs Service (NCS) generated 116.2 billion naira in revenue for the third quarter of 2025, representing a 34.3% increase from the 86.5 billion naira recorded in the same period of 2024. Customs Area Controller of the Command, Controller Joe Anani, disclosed this in Lagos during the command's third quarter press briefing, 6 weeks after assuming office. Anani said the command had so far generated a total of 350.3 billion naira between January and September, 20.5 billion naira collected for the entire 2024. He attributed the improved performance to enhanced operational efficiency under the Unified Customs Management System (UCMS), also known as BODOGO. Anani disclosed that during the period under review, the command intercepted firearms, including 1 pistol, 2 magazines, and 12 rounds of live ammunition. We move now to health, where the federal government, in collaboration with the United Nations Education Trust Fund, has called on the media organizations and the practitioners in the country to join hands with it in protecting the rights of children. The federal government, through the Federal Ministry of Information and Orientation, emphasized that journalists played a vital role in shaping public understanding, influencing attitudes, and protecting the most vulnerable members of the society, particularly children, hence the collaboration with the media. Speaking at a 2-day training of media practitioners on ethical journalism and children's rights reporting on Monday in Ibadan, Oyo State, the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Ogbodo Nnam, said the expectation from the media was in the area of ethical reporting of child protection. Nnam, represented by the Assistant Director and Head, Child Rights Information Bureau of Director and Head, Child Rights Information Bureau of the Ministry, Temitoye Falaye, said the training was designed to help in reflecting on the ethical obligations as journalists. Still in health, the president of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, Dr. Mohammed Suleiman, has said the federal government owes doctors and other health workers across the country an estimated 38 billion naira in accumulated allowances. Suleiman said this during a press briefing in Abuja while presenting the resolutions of the extraordinary National Executive Council meeting, which followed the expiration of NART's 30-day ultimatum issued to the federal government. He warned that resident doctors have already begun ward rounds and patient handover ahead of the planned nationwide total and indefinite strike beginning Saturday, November 1, 2025. Suleiman explained that the outstanding payments are not limited to resident doctors but affect all cadres of health professionals, including administrative personnel. To sports news now, where Juventus have sacked coach Igor Tudor after the Serie A club's 1-0 defeat by Lazio meant they had accumulated just 5 points in their last 5 matches. According to the Turin club, men's first-team coach Massimiliano Bambilla will be on the bench for the match against Udinese on Wednesday. Juventus sit 8th in Serie A, 6 points behind 5th out of 36 teams in the Champions League, standing after drawing 1 and losing 2 of their first 3 games. Ex-Croatia international centre-back Tudor, 47, played for Juve in his career and took over from Thiago Motta as manager in March. Juve have not won since September 10 and are on a run of 8 winless games and have not scored in the last 4. Still talking sports, former Fenerbahce attacking midfielder Reed van Diemen has warned Mauro Icardi to accept Victor Osimhen as Galatasaray's #1 striker. According to Diemen, Galatasaray's centre-forward position belongs to Osimhen, and Icardi must either accept it or give in. Both attempts 3-1 in the Turkish Super League at the weekend. On our entertainment news, Nigerian singer and rapper Ice Prince has explained the reason for his drastic weight, clarifying that he is not sick. The Oleku crooner explained that he gained excess belly weight due to an unhealthy lifestyle and recently decided to lose weight due to concerns from family and friends. Speaking on his weight loss journey in a post on X, Ice Prince shared that producer Chopsticks assisted him during the process by encouraging him to exercise. In recent times, several Nigerian celebrities have made headlines over drastic weight loss. In 2022, former-sized actress Eniola Badmus lost an incredible 80 kilograms, going from 170 kilograms to her current 90 kilograms. Earlier this year, another actress, Mercy Johnson-Okogie, was subjected to public scrutiny after her dramatic weight loss. She later explained that her weight loss was due to medical reasons, revealing that she had a thyroid operation and it even sparked cancer scare. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on all our social media handles and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, SpectrumTVLive.nj. You have been watching Spectrum News at 10. I remain Ofonono Joseph. Thank you so much for tuning in. Good morning.